Welcome, welcome, everybody. Hey, it's Old Timers Week. It's Brandon Chang. It's Robbie Davis. It's Randall. What used to be called 3R Sports Reckless Speculation. We're here to talk about the college football playoffs. First of all, guys, welcome in. Robbie, this is not on our agenda, but I want to get, you were I want to keep it at four teams. I think early on you didn't know about this playoff format. What do you think of it today?
Um, you know, it's grown on me. Mainly because Tennessee's number 9. I'm not gonna lie. If
Shocker.
Tennessee was 13, I probably wouldn't like it. Um, no, I do think there was more drama than I was expecting, and we'll get into the automatic bids and that kind of stuff in a little while. I do think it made more games matter, and I think it's too many games for the kid, but seeing how NIL is, they're no longer student athletes. They're professionals in a different league. And so I've come to grips with that. They're going to have to play 15, 16 games, whatever it is. But I think Georgia went 15-0 a couple of years ago. Yeah. So is it more? Probably not. No, I came around to it, and I'm a fan. I was wrong. I like the 12 team.
To your point, if Texas wins the national championship, they will have played 17 games. Brandon, what do you think of it? Your team, normal playoff contender every year, but this year would have been out on the last day of the season if we don't have the expanded playoffs. So they would have rode the 11-week wave and then been out on the 12th week. I think the teams like that benefited more than anything from this.
Absolutely. We definitely benefited from it. I liked 8 personally. That was kind of my range, which, we just completely jumped 8 and went to 12. 12 it's getting a little, SMU and, some of these, and we'll get to some of the bid teams, but I personally think 8 would have been solid, but 12, there's a lot of drama, and who knows, maybe, SMU can make some kind of run and do something here, but I am for it. I do like the drama. More college football is always better. And, now it doesn't matter if you win the SEC or win the Big Ten. And, if you're in, it's just like playoff baseball. You got a shot.
The only place it mattered this year, I think, was, and we'll talk about it, Arizona State getting in on a bye, a Big 12 team. That's not a top 4 football team.
Mm-hmm.
I could have justified Boise State. I want your opinion of Boise. Let's go from Brandon to Robbie. For your opinion of Boise and Arizona State. Big buys.
Again, those have always been kind of the conference teams that have been looking on the outside into these playoffs, especially at Boise State. They somehow, only lose one game, maybe 2 a year, if that, or they're undefeated, and they just never get in. So this is a perfect setup for them to prove, all right, hey, we do belong here or not, right? They can only beat the people in front of them on their schedule. And that's that. Arizona State, actually, I thought was, played pretty decent this year. Again, as far as a buy bid, probably not. I think Ohio State and Tennessee are both better team than Arizona State. But, look at the losses versus the schedule. So Again, it's hard when you go by that statistic and those measures, and that's the thing. There's so many variables. Like, what are they actually taking higher into consideration? And I think, record and being in different conference, they like to diversify the conferences and try and include at least one of your winners or someone from each of those. So I think that's how we landed where we're at.
Robbie, same question. I'm going to add a twist. Is the playoffs a better 12-team playoff if you remove Arizona State and Clemson and you add Ole Miss and South Carolina or Alabama and South Carolina?
Yes. Yeah. Well, yes, it is better if you remove them and get the blue bloods, but that's not what they bargained for. The problem that I have with the playoffs is, well, one, I do think winning your conference should matter, but I think the conferences should select who plays in the conference championship game. Like, I think it's going to be the future where the SEC, the Big Ten, they're going to just present the 4 teams they want in this thing.
I think.
And so you're going to have, all right, Tennessee's in, Texas is in, Georgia's in. Let's put Alabama and Ole Miss in a winner take all. They're our representative.
Play-in game, like basketball.
Yep. The other thing that bothers me about the setup they have now, look, something's got to give, right? Like, I understand they want to preserve the bowl games and the traditions. Kids, the traditions are gone, right? You have Stanford in the ACC. You have Rutgers and UCLA playing home and aways. So Oregon got punished because they want the Big Ten champion in the Rose Bowl. Well, Oregon is going to draw the toughest second round game as the number 1 seed because they want this tradition. I mean, that's not fair. Like, you have who is it? Yeah, Boise State getting the winner of SMU and Penn State. That, if you're Oregon, you pick that game 100 times, or the winner of Indiana Notre Dame, you pick that. That's the last draw the number 1 team would pick is the winner of Tennessee, Ohio State. And so I don't like the tie-in. Like, look, the Rose Bowl is going to be the Rose Bowl regardless of who plays in it. Like, like we traditions are gone. So adapt to this new kind of reckless Wild Wild West thing that we have. Y'all want, it happened because you were asleep at the wheel, and then now try to gain some kind of control over it and make it, if you're going to have a bracket, have the bracket be fair.
Yeah, 100%. And that could be retracting or expanding. In 1AA, they went to 2014 now. I think that's too many. There's got to be a sweet spot somewhere along the way.
I think they can work with what they have with the 12. It's just how they configure, who gets a bye and what bracket selection you're in, to Robbie's point. I mean, the number 1 seed has the absolute toughest gauntlet through whoever comes out of this bracket. I mean, that's the toughest schedule gauntlet through the playoffs. I mean, it just is. And you look at Penn State, who is, SMU and Boise. I mean, come on, that's 2 cake games should be on paper.
I guarantee you Oregon would trade places with Penn State. Guarantee.
100%.
Yes.
And rather play in the first game than take that bye against.
Yeah, give Indiana coming to Eugene and then play at Eugene and then play Boise. 100%. They better take that.
Hey, the one that gets me, and we haven't even brought it up, Texas's path is a 3-loss Clemson team. Then
aren't they 4 losses?
4 losses. You're right.
Yeah.
4-loss Clemson, and then Arizona State in the Peach Bowl, and then if they win that, they would play the winner of the Rose Bowl. So Texas is, in my mind, into the semifinals easier than any team.
And Randall, not just the winner of the Rose Bowl, in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl, like a home game.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right, boys, let's start breaking these down. And now, I know we're going to save Ohio State. Since I'm wearing my Peyton Manning jersey and got my Tennessee hat, my boy Shane over there is wearing his Ohio State gear. I think Robbie's got a tee on right down here.
I got my scrap metal gear on.
Our sponsor.
Yeah.
Let's the most important people there. Hey, and where are they located at, Robbie?
Estill Springs, Tennessee, halfway between Nashville and Chattanooga.
Real quick shot for our Marion County listeners, our
Yes.
listeners. It's 35, 40 minutes.
We pay cash for any kind of metal you have. Pay as soon as you drop it off, with the exception of copper. There's a 5-day hold, but we pay you cash and good and fair prices. You see, when you go across the truck scales, you see the weight, you know exactly what you're getting and for the price you're getting it.
So a fat guy like me isn't going to make no more by being in the truck unless I feel skinny guy to jump in it when he runs back over the scale.
That's right.
All right. And it's, again, an easy drive from Marion County. We're going to start with what I think is the easiest bracket to handicap. And that is, hey, by the way, breaking tradition, Dabo took a transfer portal guy today. So Clemson even is breaking their tradition. We have the Clemson Tigers, a perennial powerhouse. Not so much this year, probably the weakest of the playoff champions, the 12th, going to Austin to play Texas. And unfortunately, Robbie, I think the ticket prices says a lot when you can get into this game for $60, what the University of Texas fans thinks the challenge in front of them.
I've said this from the minute I saw this format, that the 5 seed is going to win this thing more than I think any other seed, just because you have the worst team get the rust off, and then you go into the last conference championship, the worst conference championship game, and then especially with a home game, then get into Atlanta. Well, I think this is also kind of indicative of what Clemson thinks of their chances too. We'll get into travel and when we talk about Tennessee, Ohio State, but I think you have a almost a deflated fan base in Clemson who, lost 4 games, and we're lucky to be in here, but it's going to be one and done. And for whatever, not for whatever reason, but it's been the standard at Clemson. It's been championship or bust, and then Dabo, the transfer portals, they've fallen behind. Kind of happy to be here, but not happy enough to be here to spend money to travel. And I think, look, and this is another thing they're going to have to address. This, and it's awkward. Christmas falls on a Wednesday this year, but I don't think these games being this weekend is a good idea. As someone who's traveling to the game, it makes a tough turnaround for Christmas and Christmas Eve and those kind of things. So I think they're going to have to look into, whether start, and this may be getting rid of the championship games or whatnot, or maybe not a 2-week break, but something's got to give, I think, with the scheduling. I don't like it.
Almost could have played last weekend, and it would have made more sense. Then a 2-week off, and then go into the bowl round. Shane, as a Big Ten guy, you see Penn State get the 6th seed. Was there any thought in your head, even after they lost to Michigan, that Ohio State would be ahead of Penn State in these seedings?
No. We didn't make it to the game. I just think by how they calibrate or expect the conference champions, or at least the people in the games, to advance. I would think without us making that game, there's no chance that we would jump ahead of Penn State. Even though we beat them, we lost to the team up north there. So that's the big dagger. So I had zero expectations. I knew we were probably going to be up against UT. Didn't think we were going to get a home game. We'll get into that. But it was there's a lot of bad feelings on that game. So we'll wait on that.
The one other thing that they need to stop doing, and I know ESPN pays them a lot of money. The power rankings or the bracket reveal or previews, they just box themselves into some really bad, stupid positions, and they're like, yeah, it's like head to head doesn't matter. It's just when you lose, and then they can't jump people, and then them coming out ahead of time being like, well, no matter what, if you play in the championship game, you're not going to get bounced out. Well, if you have like SMU, it ended up being a close game, but at the first, it was looking like it was going to be a blowout. And it's like, well, if they lose 59-0, are you still putting them in?
Yeah.
Like they don't go out there and maybe it's just this committee and this group that did a terrible job. Like where Indiana was, like they had Indiana up there early, and then you can't drop them. Like it was just.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, and again, they don't know what they're doing either. This is the first go around of this, and they're flying by the seat of their pants, just making stuff up as they go. It's a TV show. That whole bracket reveal, like you said, though, I mean, you kind of see how the cards are going to fall just by all the analysis leading up to that, right? I mean, it's just
everybody's pick here. Let's pick it. Clemson, Texas. I assume, Robbie, you're going to Texas.
Yes.
Brendan?
Yeah.
A clean sweep for Texas.
No question.
I think Texas wins that one. Now, go ahead with your point earlier about the bracket. I think the next one was if there was a team that shocked me, I'm not sure. Okay, let's play it this way. SMU played good enough to get in here, but would you rather have Penn State, Alabama in this game, with Alabama going to Penn State, which I didn't think Alabama deserved in. Actually, I thought South Carolina was the best team. But you come up with SMU at Penn State. I thought was probably even more than Texas. I dislike this matchup. Robbie, what's your thought of this game?
So I'm probably going to surprise you here. If it was, say, Miami and Clemson, and Miami was an SMU shoe, I would say give me Alabama, give me Ole Miss, give me South Carolina, because I think they have a better chance of winning this whole thing. But it being SMU and their story and them foregoing, I think, 9 years of television revenue to join the ACC, and then being like, "Don't worry about money. We got this. We need to." Because they raised $100 million in 5 days, and then another, I think, $100 million after that, and then their gamble paid off, and they're in this thing. So I love that storyline. But take them out of the equation, replace them with somebody else. Yeah, give me the best teams.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Are we doing a TV show, or are we trying to really get the best teams, find out who's the best in the country, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, to your point, Florida State and Clemson suing the ACC out. SMU was paying to get in.
Yeah, it's fan. I was reading. I read it was this morning. I was reading an article about it. It's mind blowing the amount of money, and but yeah, take them out of it though. Yeah, give me the best 12 teams, and I thought I liked the conference championships. I like the one non-power 5 getting in. Give us a Cinderella story possibility, but I like the top 12. Honestly, go back to the BC. Go back to the computer system. Give me the 12 best.
For sure. If we're going to do it this way, totally agree. Totally agree.
While we're talking about this game, the Big Ten guy, Brandon, James Franklin, I don't know that he's won a big game the whole time he's been at SMU. All right.
He hasn't.
Could SMU show up in Happy Valley and win this game?
Absolutely, they could. I wouldn't put it past them to do so. I don't think Penn State's a good team at all. And Ryan Day's kind of been on that same headline as, big games and being tough. to win. And, Penn State was one of the bigger games that he's won. But yeah, absolutely SMU could come in. I didn't think Penn State was a good football team. I don't like James Franklin. I think he cracks under pressure, and this could absolutely be a big upset here. I expect Penn State to win, but I would not be shocked if SMU just pulls a fourth quarter, almost like they did Clemson.
Hey, Robbie, if Tennessee was going on the road, to Brandon's point, I sat here on Selection Sunday and said, if we're going on the road, give me Penn State any day. I love
it. For sure.
Yeah.
Is SMU viable in this role too?
Well, I mean, they have the same. I mean, they're in the same boat we are, right? You give me a road game, go to Penn State,
Yep.
go against James Franklin. He chokes in these games, and we'll get to point spreads later, but of a away team winning, SMU would be my least surprising. I mean, I'm going to bet on them money line. I'm going to bet on other people money line too, but yeah, I mean, you can't get me to trust James Franklin.
No.
Who? Let's go ahead and pick it. We're going to try to leave plenty of time for Tennessee and Ohio State. Let's start with Brandon. Penn State, SMU. Who you taking?
I'm going to take Penn State. Just in a close battle.
I am pulling the train on the upset here, and I really think the road teams are going to go 2-2, and it's hard for me to figure out who the two is or are. I really don't like Indiana at Notre Dame.
We've already said no to Clemson, so
I've said no.
Yeah, we know who your two are, Randall.
I'm taking SMU to win this game.
Well, there's one of the two.
There's one.
And he's wearing black and orange. There's no way he's not picking that team.
No. Hey, first time.
So if anyone watching was waiting for Randall's 2-2, you can go ahead and click off now.
Yeah.
Randall, I agree. I like SMU in this one. 8.5 point spread. I love the points.
Oh God, yeah.
But
I'm hammering the points for sure.
Yeah, but I think SMU goes in there. I think they're overblowing this cold weather a little bit much, especially Knoxville. It gets cold in Knoxville, but Dallas is a different story. But I mean, I'm going to be cold. I'm fearing it, but I'm not running around out there.
It's not going to be that cold. It won't be as cold as the Michigan game.
I was going to say that we played the other night. Everybody knows my daughter plays flag football. We kicked off at 19 degrees to play Tyner the other night. So while it's 18's cold and we were cold in the stands, when the game started, 19 didn't seem so cold. So I think it's going to be 18-20 Saturday in Columbus. So good weather. It could have been 4 with an inch of snow, and I could have seen that being a real hindrance. All right. Here is the game I think I'm the most torn over, and I think the public is. It's a game that needs play. It's an in-state game. It's I won't join a conference versus Cinderella, Indiana. But Robbie, I really like the way Notre Dame was playing late in the year. Yeah, they lost to Northern Illinois. I got it. But Notre Dame late in the year against Army and Navy, and everybody go, ooh, boo-hoo, Army and Navy. But two good football teams. They defensively played well.
Yeah, so this is a game where for those of you who don't know, I went to Indiana for a year, so I'm very familiar with those people and the sports talk and everything around Bloomington. Everyone playing for Indiana would rather be playing for Notre Dame. And so there is that kind of almost high school rivalry, kind of like we grew up playing high school sports together. You're on a better team. So I expect this to be a close game on emotion in the first half, almost exactly what it was like Indiana, Ohio State. Close, and then the better team is going to pull away, and you're going to see the talent gap in the second half. So I expect it to be close. I expect some people to have their hopes up for an upset, but ultimately I think Notre Dame pulls away and covers. But if you're betting the first half or first quarter, I would take Indiana.
I hadn't thought of that angle. That's actually a really good angle. Shane, Indiana managed to get through the Big Ten, and they did lose to the Ohio State, but they avoided what I would call the juggernaut of the Big Ten, and it was just here's their schedule fell right.
Yeah,
Good football team, but I don't know it's a great football team. I don't know if it's a playoff quality team.
yeah, I go back and forth on them because coming into the game versus us, they were undefeated, and they big hype on that game. And they kept it close, like Robbie said, the first half. But I feel like they were playing to not lose the game and try to keep it close and within reach, as opposed to trying to draw up some plays. I think they were just holding back a lot, trying to not give up big plays and trying to not make too many mistakes. And when you start doing that, as you know, especially against a good football team, you're just gonna get beat to death. So I look for them to bounce back on that aspect of it here. I don't think Notre Dame is as strong as Ohio State was, and they were close in the first half. So I think Indiana could pull this out. This could be one of the upset games here, in my opinion. I haven't seen a lot from Notre Dame. Again, Notre Dame somehow always finds their way into the mix of things, and they just never really produce. And until they actually can prove it, and like you said, this is a game that needs to be played, and we'll see. But I like Freeman. I think he's a great coach, but I don't know. I think Indiana's going to give him a handful.
Hey, Robbie,
This would simultaneously be the biggest win in Indiana football history and one of the worst losses in Notre Dame football history.
Yeah.
you just question. I was going to say, being an Indiana alum, and then graduated from UT, of course, you represent what, 1/4 of the field in your former colleges. Would this be the biggest win easily in Indiana history?
I mean, I can't even think of what would be close. That this would be it.
They're a basketball school.
Yeah,
I mean, they don't play football.
And Notre Dame doesn't even think Indiana football exists. And so, yes,
that's what I'm saying.
Yes,
I like the story here.
I was listening to some talk radio today, not talk radio, but podcast, and one of them said this would be equivalent to Kentucky going to Alabama and beating them in the playoffs. Is that fair to say?
No, it would be
Vandy beating Alabama in the playoffs?
No, because this would be like MTSU beating Tennessee in the playoffs.
Oh,
that's how little Notre Dame thinks of Indiana in sports, or in football, I should say, in football. I mean, I'd say 60%, at least. So I was there in 03 to 04. At that time, I'd say 65 to 70% of the Indiana students were Notre Dame fans. And you would have more Notre Dame hats around campus than IU during football season.
Interesting. I had a friend that went to Purdue that somehow is a huge Notre Dame football fan too. So
Same kind of thing. I mean, Purdue also is a basketball school. Unless you play them on the road in football, then they're impossible to beat.
yes,
That's true.
basketball tournament. Evidently, they're
It's that hospital they have in the background.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Still hate Zach Edey if anyone wants an update.
Yeah. I'm that Sister Mary. I'm still angry with her.
Oh yeah, I hate her too.
All right, guys, we're about halfway through it, but I want to go ahead and shout out Moses Lawn and Garden. Hey, let me tell you something about Jace. Jace is 19-year-old, Robbie. He is my color man on Hickson football. He graduated from high school 2 years ago. He took everything he had and invested in his own lawn and garden service. He does amazing work. And the fact that somebody bet on themselves in life, you just know that is somebody you want on your property. Completely trustworthy, great family, Moses Lawn and Garden. And you can hear Jace every Friday night here on RiverCity-Media during football season as my color man for Hickson football. Moses Lawn and Garden. Ads are up on RiverCity-Media. All right, boys, let's go ahead and talk about it. I think by far the best game, the game that I think I literally think we could get a 20 million viewership on this game. A game that I think what we designed and everybody wanted the playoffs to be, the Southern brand going north to play in the wintertime. The big brand up there. If you call it Michigan, Ohio State, just two of the biggest brands in college football. Tennessee going to Ohio State. First of all, regardless of my opinion, I'm a Tennessee alumni. I think Tennessee early in the year got punished much worse for losing on the road at Arkansas than Ohio State got punished to losing to that team up north late in the year and still got a home game. If you remember, I think Tennessee fell 13 spots, losing to a team 14-point favorite on the road. Brandon, as an Ohio State fan, do you think you got fairly, justly, or maybe a little favoritism in losing that late and remaining as a home team?
I mean, I think it was a coin flip, and there could have been a little favoritism there, possibly, just because we were ranked so high all year long. And you take rivalry games into account. I mean, you lost to Arkansas is not that big of a rival. Yes, it was early in the season, but rivalry games, you can throw the record out the window. I mean, you guys know that. It doesn't matter. So I think that had some influence on that. But yeah, I mean, these two teams, I think you could have had a coin flip and they'd have been, either one I would have been happy with. Now, obviously, coming to Columbus, I like our chances a little better, than Neyland. But we'll see.
Robbie, same question. Now, Tennessee is 23-1 over the last 3 years in Neyland. Tennessee on the road's not a great road team. Ohio State, did you have any hope of Tennessee getting a home game?
Hope, not really, because of what the committee said before championship week, which is silly because they said, well, there's no more data points to measure, so everyone can kind of say the same. Well, actually, data is information, and they got more data with more teams playing that these teams have played and they lost to. But once they said that, I was like, well, they're not going to do anything. And again, this is why I don't like these early selection shows, because they box themselves in, and the guy probably just said it. He just answering a question, and then after it was like, probably shouldn't have said that, but I did say it, and then now we're gonna have to stick to it. I mean, does it matter? We'll see. I think that, yes, home crowd does matter. But ultimately, Vegas is backing up what the committee said. Say you get 3 points for being the home team. Well, Ohio State's minus 7.5, so Vegas thinks they're better.
Yep.
And Vegas thinks every home team is significantly better. You're looking at minus 12, minus 7.5, minus 8.5, minus 7 for all the home teams. So Vegas backs up what the committee says. And this is how it's always been: deserving versus better, right?
Right.
So I don't have a problem with it necessarily. I think if Ohio State's one of their losses to the number 1 team, Tennessee's losses to the number 2 team, and then they both lost to 6-6 teams. One was at home, one was on the road. I mean, it's really.
Right.
I honestly don't give a crap if they went back there and flipped a coin and said, "Okay,
Exactly.
this is what we got."
I think it was that close. I'm not.
I do too.
I thought if you wanted TV, these were the 2 teams. And I do think there's some level. We always talk about TV on here, maybe too much, but there is some level that they needed that Saturday night, 8:00 ABC game of the other teams in the playoffs with the opening round playoffs. You cannot come up with a better matchup for TV ratings, I don't think, Brandon.
I agree. Look, back to the coin flip thing. These are 2 of the best traveling teams in the country. Like, their fans travel regardless. So I fully expect probably 30,000 plus UT Vols fans in the shoe. It's just what I think is going to happen. You guys travel well. You always have, especially a game this magnitude. It's not that far of a drive. And I think it would have been the same in Neyland. I would have fully expected to see 30,000 plus fans of the Buckeyes. So I think home field will help a little bit, but again, to me, these teams are so close, and we'll get into matchups here shortly, I'm sure. But it's going to be a battle, and this is what this design of college playoffs is about and what it's for. Because when's the last time we played? Like late 90s against each other? I think when Manning and Eddie George.
Yeah. Goal line stand.
Yeah, I know.
So 2 quick things, and these are trends to watch, I think. So trend 1, look, and we're talking about home field and who got what. Hey, never forget, it's a TV show. It's a narrative. Part of the narrative, this whole thing, how would the Southern teams play if they had to go up north in the cold?
Mm-hmm.
So they're putting Tennessee up north. They're putting SMU up north. If they sweep next year, look for the pendulum to swing the other way. Okay, that narrative didn't really work. The other narrative that it really fascinates me, and Brandon's correct, not only do Tennessee and Ohio State travel well, but what you are seeing is there is a element of a somewhat deflated fan base in Ohio State with Ryan Day, but don't overlook the fact that you're think about it from the answer to all your questions is money. Sorry, I'm a little sick, but Ohio State fans can sell their tickets for this game and pay for the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
And so you're looking at a lot of financial decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Let's sell our tickets for this game to pay for the Rose Bowl. And you're going to see a lot of that, I think, and maybe not this year because it's the first year, but as it trickles down, people being
to
like,
gauge it.
Yeah, my season tickets,
Yeah.
I can sell this and pay for the next round.
That's a good point.
I bought 2 national championship tickets. I bought the worst seats in the house, and I only get them if Tennessee goes. But to your point, these worst seats in Mercedes-Benz for the title game is about $500 a piece. I easily think those are $2,000 tickets.
Yeah. It's financial decisions. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys, I do want to get in a little X and O's. I have some things about this game that I believe is going to happen, but I want to start with you, Brandon. One of the criticisms of Ohio State has been the offensive line play. Um, Tell me about this offensive line and how bad or how good do you think they have played at times?
Well, we don't run the ball as well we're missing two key offensive linemen. I forget his name. He got hurt in the Oregon game. One of our best tackles. And it's been a struggle to run the ball on some teams. And, Ryan Day, and he's got this whole mentality that he's got to be tough and run the ball, especially against Michigan. And that was the whole debacle with that. However, pass protection, they can hold up pretty well. If they give him 2.5 seconds or so, we've got the weapons on the outside. We can make this work. And I think that's going to be the key. They got to abandon this whole we can run it down your throat mentality. Obviously that didn't work against Michigan. Now, Michigan's D-line's pretty stout, but so is Tennessee's. So I feel our best option here is going to be to utilize this NFL talent we have at wide receiver.
Best group of receivers in the nation.
I agree. Well, and you go back, Tennessee or Georgia, or they gave up against Georgia 347 yards in the air against Carson Beck, who I would say he's a better quarterback than Will Howard, but the wide receiver core is just nowhere near the caliber that we have. So you kind of flip those a little bit. I still think our best attack in this game is going to be through the air. Obviously, that's going to open up some of the run game, and we do have two fantastic running backs. But it's going to start with the pass. This whole in the trenches mentality of old is not what we're set up and not how we're built right now, especially with a weak O-line.
Robbie, with that said, if I was Ryan Day, I think I would have broke down every Georgia-Tennessee film that has been there since has been playing Kirby's team. It's really seems to be the only guy that does have Tennessee's number is Kirby.
Yes. Well, and I don't discount while Chip Kelly is somewhat falling on hard times. Chip Kelly was at least one of the architects of this spread out, make you declare. So if I was Ryan Day, I'd be having Chip Kelly in a lot of defensive meetings over these 2 weeks saying, what are they going to do here? Why are they doing this? And what are they trying to do? Because you've heard, or at least, Nick Saban has talked about it on numerous game days about how hard – it's not hard. It's just they make you declare what coverage you're in, and then they go from there. There's no guessing. You can't disguise looks. Kirby's been able to do it. He got Heupel at home twice, in Athens twice, and then they've just got studs on studs. But so did Alabama, but Nick Saban couldn't deal with it. And so, but, it's much more run-oriented this year. This is a huge test for Nico. Heupel hasn't been great on the road. I think who runs for more yards. We talk about receivers, we talk about Kelly likes to play with speed, Heupel likes to play with speed. Well, I don't think this is a have to run the ball and pound the middle. I think this is a very much take what the defense gives you, and whoever's the most disciplined in that, I think wins. Because both teams have a great defensive line, great play. There's no shortage of NFL talent going to be on this field.
The odd thing about Tennessee is when they do spread out, they spread out wider than anyone else in the college football. They're outside the numbers. Caleb Downs and Latham Ranson, they're going to be out on islands. So I think the initial catch or tackle. That's going to say a lot in the beginning, because you're going to get either a big chunk play if they miss a tackle because they're going to be out by themselves,
Yes.
or they're going to make a great play. And another thing too is Dylan Sampson. I mean, that dude is a beast, and he runs patiently. Like he is very patient in how he runs the ball. He takes what the defense gives him. He doesn't try and do anything too special and put it all on his shoulders. He'll take 4 yards and fall for the 5th forward. And so that's going to be a test there. But I do think Nico is the key. And if we can pressure him, and I think if we can make him make mistakes. Now, he is fast. If he gets outside the pocket, we're asking receivers to be covered for 4 and 5 seconds, which is just really unheard of.
Not to interrupt, Brandon, but I think Nico maybe on the run is a better quarterback than Nico in the pocket.
He is, but when we do get pressure, we do have to contain him. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
To that point, because he does become, I think, more of a threat on the outside, especially with those receivers running around as far out as they're spread. So,
well, Brian, you made a great point about the key in every Tennessee game is, yes, can your cornerbacks make one-on-one tackling? Because we will test them. It will be,
yes,
you
absolutely.
are by the sidelines, you're one-on-one.
Yeah.
If you miss, it's gone.
Yep.
Or at least he's going for a big game. And if you have to start backing those safeties off for help, then that's where Sampson comes in, right up the middle.
Exactly. So, and I think
that's what Georgia does great. They're like, we'll let you catch it, but we will tackle you.
And I think Jim Knowles knows that, and he's studied enough of their film. I mean, they've had 3 weeks to prepare, and he is a brilliant mind on the defensive side. So I think they'll be ready for that. Now it's just, can we execute, right? And can we get that pressure, and can we make those open field tackles? That's going to be a big issue. Now, you guys are one of the most up-tempo offenses, but you're facing one of the most up-tempo defense play calling. Like Knowles, we're one of the top as far as getting plays in and being up-tempo to match that. So I look for it to be a great matchup. I mean, this is going to be a great game. It really is. We match up really well.
Robbie, I think if Tennessee is going to have a chance in this game, they've got to get out to an early start. Tennessee historically on the struggle early. You even saw that at Vandy. They were down 14-0 at one point. How important is the first quarter to this offense? And to Brandon's point, we will spread you out, but we spread you out to run the football. That's the secret of this. That's not a secret, but it's the whole mystery of what fans think. We spread out to throw it all over the park. We spread out to run the football.
So that's a great question, and I'll give the answer the best I can. Randall, you and I are huge college basketball fans. Yes. This is a college basketball kind of atmosphere, right? If Tennessee can come in there, score 7-0, maybe 10-0, the crowd will deflate, and there is going to be a lot of angry kind of, all right, forget you, Ryan Day. Let's just go ahead and get beat and try to get rid of him. It's kind of and Brandon will know this more than I, but that's kind of what I've been hearing. And it could just be the obnoxious callers on Feinbaum, but that's what I've been hearing, is that there is a, hell, Alabama's the same way. They want to get rid of DeBoer after 1 year, but it's reality of sports. Right. But I think if Tennessee gets up early, the Vols fans get louder and the Buckeyes fans get quieter. But vice versa, I think, yes, we have not been great on the road. And if that place gets louder and louder, then yes, it's not easy to, the downside of spreading you out so far is it is hard to hear in a home game, much less on the road. And so Connor Staley, is that his name? Yeah, he may be in the stand.
Yeah. So, excuse me. Crap, I lost my train of thought. Go ahead. I'll think of it in a second.
Well, I have a question for you too. I think Tennessee. I think Tennessee starting early is important. I think Ohio State can still win if Tennessee gets up 10-0, but I'm not sure Tennessee could win if they go down 14-0.
So yeah, that brings me back to the point I was saying. So Ohio State historically, in no matter what game you put us in, we always start slow. Like our first half is just almost brutal to watch sometimes. I think it wouldn't shock me if Tennessee gets up, 7-10 points ahead of us in the first half, and it would not shock me at all. I hope that doesn't happen, but it wouldn't shock me. Now, we are good at making adjustments most of the time, minus the last game we played, at half, and we usually come out strong in the half. I've seen us score, 30, 40 points in the second half. So that doesn't scare me. And it doesn't scare Ohio State fans, in my opinion, because we are used to that slow, methodical start and coming back with firepower in the second half. So we'll see how this plays out. I think the crowd is on pins and needles for sure with Ryan Day. I know most of them were ready for him to be fired before he left the field when I was there last time. But look, this guy, he's only got 10 losses in his whole record. He's a good coach. He buckles under pressure sometimes. And I think he tries to manifest things that are not necessarily there or what the team identity is and what he wants it to be are two different things. And I think he tries to force that sometimes. And I think that'll be the key in this game. And hopefully they've learned from their mistakes.
Robbie, last question, then we'll go and predict. Would it shock you for me to say the players are more talented at Ohio State, but the advantage Tennessee has is in the coaching box?
100% agree.
Yeah, no, I agree too. Yeah.
All right. I do want to get through the semifinals. I do want to get through a little bit more. I'll go first on this one, and I'm going to everybody take as much time as you need. Here's what I think this game. I think this game plays out this way. I'm going to predict Tennessee's going to win. I'm a Tennessee fan, man in Jersey, but I'm going to give you what I think is the most telling sign, and we just talked about it. I think Tennessee's got to play well early, and I think Ohio State has got to help us in the game. By helping us, I mean dumb penalties, turnovers, errors in the special teams game. We need about 2 of those from Ohio State to win this football game. So we're going to play fast. We're going to play for that mistake. I think the matchup I like the best is Tennessee's defensive line against Ohio State's offensive line if they try to run the football. Now, I know we're set up to as a everybody, the reputation is pass blitz. It's a pretty good defensive line against the run. I will take the Vols in a close one, but whoever wins this, in my poll, in the Randall poll, this is the 5th and 6th best team in the country playing each other. So, Robbie, I'll let you go last. Brandon, take as much time as you want. Break down the game however you feel need.
Yeah, I think this will also be close, especially early. I think, like I said, even Tennessee could be ahead at the half. Would not surprise me. I do have this somewhat close, but somewhat on par with where Vegas has got the line. I think if we can figure out who our kicker is, we're still having tryouts between the two since the last guy missed 2 field goals. So it's either Fielding, who sucked against Michigan, or Austin Snyder. But if we can get that kicking game in order and actually make the field goals that we attempt, I think Ohio State can pull it out 27-20. That's kind of where I'm landing.
I think a good point. First team over 20 might win this. Tennessee gave up over 20 once this year. Break might win this. Robbie.
I agree with the point spread line. Now, I don't know which way it's going to go, though, but I'm with you guys on it about a 7-point margin. I just foresee one of these quarterbacks is going to throw a back-breaking interception.
I could see that for sure.
And so I think that's going to change. I think it's going to be pretty even up until a point, and someone's going to make a big mistake. That's just how my mind is going with it. And so I'm going to pick Tennessee just because, I have to. But, I wouldn't be – I could either be leaving the shoe happy, leaving the shoe sad, and neither one of them would be like, oh, I didn't see this coming. It's not like if we win, I'm going to be like, oh, my gosh, what a huge upset. I'm glad I was here for it.
This is as much of a coin flip as the seeding was.
Yeah, completely agree.
This is not 3 years ago when you had to get over the Alabama hump to prove football team. Tennessee walks into the stadium knowing they're a good football team.
But this is by far the toughest bracket to come out of and win the whole thing. By far. Not even close.
Let's just recap it. Randall, Robbie, of course, the Tennessee fans picked Tennessee. I don't think anybody would be shocked with any. The only outcome that would shock me would be a complete blowout by Tennessee. I would even say, a 31-17 Ohio State win would not shock me.
I agree.
A 31-7 Tennessee win would shock me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And Day is fired if that happens.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah,
all right,
for sure.
Let's jump across. Go ahead. Let's finish out this bracket. And I'm going to come back to this bracket. The winner of this game, be it Ohio State or Tennessee, gets Oregon. Here's where I'm going to take a second. I think a team that plays this week has a huge advantage over a team that is set for a full month. I said 2-2. It might be 3-1. It might be 4-0. I could see those bye teams. I could see them going 1-3, 0-4 even. I don't think Georgia's going to lose their matchup at Notre Dame or Indiana. But I can see Texas beating Arizona State. I can see, everybody else in these brackets. I can see the bye team losing. So at Oregon, be it Tennessee or Ohio State, Robbie, anybody getting Oregon?
So I talked earlier about how Oregon got the worst draw, but on your premise, does the bye hurt someone? Schematically and film-wise, not in this case because Tennessee and Ohio State are very similar. And so you can throw a little 30-minute wrinkle team-specific during practice, during these 3 weeks. But I do agree. I think we've seen it in the NCAA tournament, basketball, different sport, but same theory. The first 4 usually win that second game too because they're playing, they're used to going. Football's a little different animal plus the travel, but it's all neutral sites. But I don't think there's a huge advantage from waiting. The only advantage is if you don't play, you can't lose. But
that's in our fantasy playoffs, so I'm thankful to have a bye. I will say that.
Yeah, no, I agree too. I think I do. I think there's something about getting in rhythm and getting, barring injury or any catastrophic injury to any key player. I think the momentum carries you. Like it's ride or die. You're already into that game. You already won one. You know what it feels like to be in that setting. In this moment. And I think that momentum carries forward. So I do fully expect to see the winner of whoever Ohio State, Tennessee is. I think they beat Oregon in the Rose Bowl.
I think that too. Arizona gets the winner of Clemson and Texas. I think Texas is a prohibitive favorite. Anybody disagree with that?
No.
in the Peach Bowl, an obvious favorite?
I think Texas is going to be favored until the championship game.
Mhm.
I will go with that. The other side. Let's look at the other side of that. That's the Notre Dame. Indiana gets Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. I think Notre Dame Georgia could be an interesting game. Very interesting game.
What is Beck? What's the status on Beck?
Beck is out as far as I know.
Like for the playoffs?
I think he's kind of weak, but the rumblings I hear is that Georgia's going into playoffs not expecting Carson Beck to play.
Because with Beck, I love this bracket for Georgia, but without Beck, then I think Notre Dame advances.
I can't disagree with that. That would be my too. How about you, Brandon?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I just don't think Beck's going to play. I mean, he couldn't even lift his arm. So we'll see. But even still, I think it's going to be Indiana, which would I don't know, man. Georgia's hard to bet against, even without Beck.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Does Georgia's backup quarterback still beat Indiana? I think so.
I think so. I think it could be Indiana. I think that's a more favorable matchup for Georgia with a backup quarterback.
I think Beck seems like the farther they go, the more likely he'll be back. Let's look at this bottom of this bracket. I think it's wide open. Penn State, SMU, Boise. Boys, I could see SMU getting out of this bracket, but I also am a Boise believer in that. And the only game I watched Boise all year, the only time I've seen Boise, they played Oregon neck and neck. So, what's your thoughts over there?
Give me the Mustangs. I like them. I think they're feisty. They showed me some grit coming back against Clemson. Granted, it's the only game I've seen them play. I've always seen Boise play against UNLV. I don't trust Penn State, so give me the Billionaires. I like them.
One of these two teams is going to get to the semifinals, in my opinion. Boise or SMU. Brandon.
I still think Penn State pulls it out. And I think if Penn State wins against SMU, I think they beat Boise. I think if SMU wins, then Boise pulls it out against SMU.
I think the whole world I think the whole state of Utah or Idaho is betting right now if Boise is ever going to be a legitimate every year Power 4 school, they better make the semifinals this year. So,
well, I can promise you this format's getting changed for next year.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, this is not going to.
They're not doing that. Yeah.
All right. So I think the most people have agreed that Texas is on to the semifinals. We've got a different of opinion, but I think either the Tennessee or Ohio State winner takes Oregon out. But you're going to have Texas, Oregon, Texas, Tennessee, which I think is a dream matchup waiting in line. But I do not see Oregon winning this bracket this side. I like Texas or I like the winner of Tennessee, Ohio State. Robbie, what's your thoughts on that side?
You know what? That's the first time I've seen the bracket laid out like that. With Georgia losing their quarterback, this thing is so lopsided.
It is. It is. Look at it.
Yeah.
Like you may have a Texas, SMU, or Indiana championship game.
Absolutely. And you may get the game of the year in a Texas, Oregon, or a Texas, Tennessee in the semifinals.
Yeah, I guess I'm just seeing it mapped out. One guys east to west or left to right, and then seeing it like that, like oh wow, yeah, this could end up being a championship game blowout.
if it's not Georgia on that side, it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, I agree. Yes. So,
I'll agree.
yes. So you asked me who I think is going to be in the championship game.
Yes. Who walks out of the Oregon Arizona State side?
Man, I just think the winner of Texas or Tennessee, Ohio State, and Oregon are going to beat themselves up so bad. These are the coaches' first year doing this format. I think it's going to be tough to turn around. They haven't done it before. This is where Alabama always had the advantage under Saban because he had done it so many times. He knew the practice regimen. He knew everything. I think Texas with the easiest route gets there. And on the other side, I mean, I feel foolish for picking SMU, but I mean, I'm rolling with them. Might as well take them all the way. So the team that beat them, Clemson, and then is going to face, or the team that Clemson beat to get in, SMU, is going to face Texas in the championship game in my bracket, which I don't feel confident about.
I'm going to go with my bracket while I've got it down. Brandon, you go next. I think we got Texas, Georgia 3 coming up. Just my opinion. I could very easily see it being Texas, Georgia 3. Brendan.
I could see that. That all depends on Beck. If Beck is not there, could you? I mean, a Notre Dame or an Indiana would be my
probably the second best team over there.
Yeah, would be my selection. I don't think Oregon's going to make it, so it's going to be. I mean, I don't disagree with Robbie's point about the turnaround with Texas. They're coming out of an easy bracket. That's going to be 2 hard-fought games, whoever's coming out of that top bracket. But I still think whoever does is going to beat Texas. I still am not a believer in Texas yet. I've just seen them fumble too many times. They were hot early, and they fizzled here towards the end. So I think the winner of Ohio State, Tennessee is going to be in the national championship game.
You know, that was my hot take I was going to take, and I backed off of it looking at the bracket and just realizing how easy Texas's road is. So let's just go ahead and wrap this up. And I've kind of came to calling my shot. It's not the shot I started to call. The shot I was going to call was the winner of Ohio State and Tennessee wins the national championship. I can't call the shot. I think if I was going to call a shot, I won't call a national championship. If you want to make money, I'd parlay Texas all the way to the finals. I just think Texas has got the easiest roll. It's going to be getting past the winner of the Rose Bowl. If Texas gets past the winner of the Rose Bowl, they will win the national championship. They will not lose to Georgia the third. Robbie, what calling your shot?
My calling my shot is the national championship game will have a 14-point spread, and the favorite will cover.
I can see that. That's very good. That's very good. It's going to be a one-sided game, I think. Brandon, what's your shot?
Man, I've gone back and forth on this now. I mean, I got to stick to my guns here. I think Oregon doesn't make it out of their first round of play. I really don't.
That's of death, in my opinion, right?
I just think they lose their first game and they're out as the 1 seed. I think the bye kind of hurts them a little bit, and I think that momentum between one of these teams carries them through. So I don't see Oregon making it out of the first game.
It will be a 50-50 crowd.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Hey, that bracket, to me, if you survive that bracket and you survive it healthy,
you deserve to win a national championship for sure.
You deserve to win the national championship. Hey, everybody listening to us on RiverCity-Media. I know this is a bunch of old guys that you used to see on here. We're going to do more of these specials. We might even come back after round one and kind of reset ourselves and do a Final Eight prediction show. It's been a lot of fun. Robbie, any final word?
I mean, I would say only if Brandon and I are still talking to each other after the game.
Throw me in that loop, too. I did not have a of going at 12 o'clock today. And then I just started looking at how cheap prices are, how close. It's a 6-hour drive from Knoxville. And ticket prices are down below 150, you know. Never thought I'd be here, but I am. Brandon, your final words.
Yeah, I intended on going fully when the bracket came out, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to, so that kind of sucks. But this is going to be a great game, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. I will be posted up here on the couch, and man, just it's going to be crazy. So, Robbie, you're going to enjoy the shoe, Columbus.
I'm looking forward to it. I am.
Columbus is such a fun town. So there's so many great places, and I'll hook you up with some good ones. But
friend that told me today when he found out I was going, he said, and he's an Ohio State alumni. He texted me. He said, "You will be amazed. I know you're used to going to road games in the SEC." He said, "You'll be amazed to how more hospital and how more of a welcoming feeling you'll get in Columbus than you will in."
Oh yeah, they're nice. Everybody's nice and cool.
Wait, you mean they're not going to be grown men getting on all four hands and knees and barking at you?
I heard that I may make it in and out without having urine through all of it.
Yeah.
No, you will. They're very hospitable, even to the team up north. I've been in that game several times, and that even to those fans, they're somewhat cordial. So you guys will enjoy yourselves.
Our NIL group has a party. I guess it's about a block away from the stadium I'm going. I know the Ohio State fans have what's it called, the library before the game, and
Varsity Club is over there.
And,
yeah, that's off East Lane over there. But yeah, you'll see all that. I definitely hit up Short North. It's between the stadium and downtown. It's kind of the party district over there. That, and then it goes all down North High Street and then to East Lane. So I hope it's a fun town.
Randall, can I call my extreme shot?
Yeah, call the extreme shot.
On January, what is it? The 20th, 2025, Tennessee will have the number one ranked baseball team, basketball team, and football team.
Hey, you want to hear my extreme shot? If we make the finals, there ain't no way I'm selling those tickets. I was at the 98 game, and I was young. I was only 32. Old man now. Just being there with my daughter, and if Tennessee could somehow get to the finals and win, I don't know if I won't cry like a baby. I don't know I won't cry at a baby center. And I know Ohio State fans can't understand it, but Robbie, it's been 20 years of struggle for us to be here.
I was at that 98 game too, but I was thinking I was like 12. But...
Yeah.
12-32, you know.
Yeah.
I'm old.
All right, guys. It's been a pleasure.
I still made the fantasy playoffs. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, me too.
Hey,
two of us did on here.
Hey, I think my connection's cutting out. I can't hear what we're talking about anymore.
Hey, for Robbie Davis, for Brandon Shane, these guys are on Reckless Speculation Podcast, but they're also members of RiverCity-Media. Thank you for tuning in. Join us again. Good night. God bless, and we'll see you down the road and might even hook up in Columbus.